Today will be a first look of the Audio-Technica ATH ADX3000. Now this is a brand new set here and it was loaned to me from Jaben to just do this particular review. Now just to note that this ATH ADX3000 is, I believe, relatively new. I think it's just out, but I want to caveat that I rarely use Audio-Technica stuff, so I'm not an expert in it, neither do I know much of the sound signature and history. So I'm going to enter this really, I guess you can put it as inexperience for Audio-Technica equipment. Now I did own a ATH AD700 long ago, I think, when I first started my audio journey, but that was like 10 years back. Since then I have not tried any open back Audio-Technica. I only did one closed back one quite recently, I think a few months back, but that's about it. I rarely touch Audio-Technica equipment itself. Now my understanding based on a very quick search online is that this is based on a flagship model, which is 5000 series. This is a 3000 series. So let's take a look, have a listen, and then give an honest first look. Now I understand that this is about 1,400 Sing dollars, or about 1,000 USD. So it is in the, I would say, as mid to high range type of headphones. I will have a listen to it, then see how it feels like, and then maybe I find appropriate headphones to compare, because I have no idea how this sounds like. But without wasting time, let's do an unboxing. This is the box itself, the headphones. The ATH ADX3000 comes in a nice metal box, so let's take a look at what's inside. This is how it looks like. These are the cables. So these are the things inside the box. This is of course the ADX3000. This is a single-ended, but this is of course the 1/4 inch jack. And then there is a 4.4. I mean, this is an interesting combination because such headphones are normally used for home. So most manufacturers that I've seen so far give the opposite. They will give an XLR with a 3.5mm instead, or something along the line, because you can give a 3.5mm and then provide an adapter rather than give a 1/4 inch here. So quite interesting selection of cables, I guess. But today we will try out with balanced connection, because that's probably how most of my amps actually work. And since they gave a 4.4 and it's a very short cable, I'm assuming that they want us to use it portable. So I'll try it with one of my depths and then see how it performs. And then I will try it also with amplification later in the back of the first look itself. Now before I start listening, let us take a look at the physical part of the headphone itself. Now this headphone, as you can see here, this is standard ATH open back series, which is a mesh, and the driver looks pretty big. I believe this is the main driver, and then everything else is the support. And then this is, I believe, magnesium from what I understand online. And there is this velvet cover. Now this kind of velvet cover, I think, attracts a lot of dirt, and I think it will wear off quite quick. But it's quite uncommon to have such things on the head. I mean, normally they are just on the pads itself. So I'm not sure how easy it is to actually replace these bands, but I see some screws here. It should not be too hard. Now the adjustment is as such, you can pull up and down, and then you can rotate. The amount of rotation looks to be quite limited, though the front back is pretty okay. And then for the cables itself, the jack uses one of these very ATH specific jacks. I forgot what's the name of it, but you can find it online. But pretty much this is it for the headphones itself. They are really light. So the headphone is really light. As you can see here, 270 grams. Really light stuff, which is good for long-term wearing. Considering everything, I think this is going to be a relatively comfortable headphone itself. So without wasting time, let's take a listen to the headphones. Now this will be using my Shuanling M9 Plus as the player. This has a lot of power, and in balance mode, I think it's more than sufficient to play most music for purpose of dynamic headphones. So let's have a try. So I've heard 3 songs with this particular headphone, which is Eido's Ibarra, the Witch from Mercury soundtrack, followed by Heartbeat from YOASOBI. I want to first say that my impression is that it's a pretty good headphone. Let me explain. First, I think that the overall sound signature is pretty balanced. Nice amount of highs, nice amount of mids, nice amount of lows. And the mids are not the kind of far and recessed, it's a bit more closer with good amount of focus. Now, the bass itself is actually really punchy. I don't think it extends very low, but the punchy mid bass is there. So you get the impact, you get the fun. The highs are actually there. They are very clear. They sound pretty accurate to me. And not only that, I think they do have certain amount of bite, while not being overly spicy. But I would say, as to me, there is only one flaw, and there is a little bit of sibilance, or should I say, a bit more than I would like for a headphone for sibilance itself. I want to caveat once again that I am very sensitive to sibilance. I have used headphones that my friends say have no sibilance, but to me it has a lot of sibilance. I've tried many times. So I believe that I belong to one of the more sensitive to sibilant type of users. So to me, like Annihilator is no go. This one has a little bit more sibilance that I like. It is not overwhelming. It is not like downright bad to me, but just a little bit more than I would like to have for a headphone itself. But you see, that is the only flaw. And if you ask me, as long as I'm not playing too loud, it actually doesn't affect me. In fact, this is a very pleasant sounding headphone, so I didn't even need to go very loud to enjoy the sound. Soundstage wise, I think it is more of the middling type. I mean, it has a very open sound, but it doesn't feel like it is like super huge in the stage itself. Open sound, but the stage is a bit smaller. Things still revolve around you rather than spreading left and right. In terms of its overall dynamics, I think it's very dynamic, relatively fun to listen. Bass do hit hard, treble do go there, goes from dark to very loud in a very nice fashion and manner. Pretty much, I think that if I was to just listen it alone like this, if I can get past the sibilance part of thing, this to me will be one of the headphones that I will outright easily buy, which is a very good sign for a first impression, with no reference headphones to compare. Overall, I think it is a very nice sounding headphone, straight out of the box. And other than the sibilance part of things, I think it performs really well. And I think sibilance is something that, is a personal thing, and to me, it's just a bit more than I would like it to be. But that's about it. So let me go and get some headphones to compare with for my next section, and then I'll get back to you guys. Okay, for this comparison, I'll be comparing the Focal Utopia. Now, to be fair, this guy costs 4 times the price, but the only reason I'm using it to compare for this video is because, I wanted to use the Composer, which is a little bit more affordable. And, my Composer is in a box now because I'm preparing to ship it out. I'm actually moving place. So the Utopia was the only one that is currently still outside. I do have the HD650, but I think based on what I heard so far, the 650 isn't really a fight with the new Technica ADX3000. And I don't have any dynamic headphones in between, mainly like planar magnetics, which I think the sound signature and the whole feel of it is quite different. So I'll be comparing with the Focal Utopia across a few songs, and I'll get back to you guys what's the difference between the ADX3000 versus the Focal Utopia. So I compared both the Focal Utopia and the ADX3000. Now, I first have to say that the soundstage-wise, the ADX3000 is definitely smaller than the Focal Utopia. However, the openness of the sound, I feel like the ADX3000 have a bit more openness. There is like this more air to the whole sound itself. It feels more open. But in the absolute soundstage where things are being positioned, I think the Focal Utopia is actually bigger itself. Now, that is the first obvious one. The other difference is that the ADX3000 is a bit more on the brighter and cooler side of sound, while the Focal Utopia is on the warmer side of sound. So if you like that smooth, warm sound, then the Focal Utopia is slightly better. But if you like the bright, airy sound, then the ADX3000 actually performs very well. Now, when it comes to the details, I do think when it comes to the details in the treble, the ADX3000 actually does perform a bit better than the Focal Utopia. Things are a little bit more clearer, more crispier, and there's bite in the treble region. While in the bass, I think the Focal Utopia does better. There is more rumble, more texture to the bass, and also the Focal Utopia has just a bit more bass too. So if you're looking for bass, then the Focal Utopia is a bit better. If you're looking for a treble, the ADX3000 is slightly better there. But that being said, in the mids region, well, both of them are very similar. As I said, slightly warmer, slightly cooler sound, and also the focus of sound is slightly different. For the sound on the Focal Utopia is a bit bigger, a bit more diffuse through the head, while the ADX3000 is more like in the center and relatively focused if you compare it to the Focal Utopia. And the clarity on the mids wise are very similar. However, because of the cooler tone of it, for female vocals, like anime songs, is pretty good. But if you go into more slightly romantic feel type of songs, or a bit slower and more, I would say as smooth sounding type of vocals, then I'll say the Focal Utopia is significantly better there. Now, if you want a more relaxing experience, I would say as the Focal Utopia is a more relaxing experience when it comes to the general sound. It is smoother, while the ADX3000 is a bit more brighter, a bit more, I would say as spicy, a little bit spicier, a bit more rough overall because of that treble itself. So there is a slight different take. But I have to say the truth that when I compare to them, it's just total different taste rather than one is significantly better than the other. In fact, I've been thinking, is the Focal Utopia really that much better? I'm not too sure. I mean, the bass is better, the soundstage is better, the smoothness is nice. If I'm doing long-term listening, I think I'll prefer the Focal Utopia. But if I'm listening to female anime songs, I think the ADX3000 will actually be better. But maybe that is the reason, because this is a Japanese brand and they probably cater to the audience, which a lot of them, a good portion of them will listen to such songs in Japan. And if you are doing that, I would say as the ADX3000 is fantastic. So my take is that the ADX3000 actually performs pretty well, even compared to like flagship headphones such as the Focal Utopia. This is a case where you pay like a quarter of the price, but you don't get like a quarter of the performance. In fact, if you ask me, it's a total different take on it. And if I have to put a number, this is like close to 90% of the performance, but rendered differently. Okay, so that is of course now compared to the Focal Utopia. I will do one last test using with amplifiers to see whether does it scale if you use better amplifiers. Now the Focal Utopia does scale, and just like I said, all the warmer tone and stuff, I could even get better clarity with certain amplifiers, but I'm not too sure about the ADX3000, so let's try it out. So using this Aroma Audio TB100 True Balance amplifier, there is some improvements compared to running straight from the Sennheiser M9 Plus. Now, firstly, the Sennheiser M9 Plus sounds a bit warm, and that is quite normal. Sennheiser normally have that signature. But the important part is that the TB100 does feel like it improved the overall clarity in the mids region a little bit more. This is already very clear. Now, this one feels like it improved it a little bit more. The other thing that was improved was the lowering of the sibilance. There seems to be less sibilance when driven off the TB100 versus the Sennheiser M9 Plus. Like, the improvement is noticeable to me. Still, there is some sibilance, but it has reduced to a point where I think it's fine. Like, perfectly fine. If I started off with this combination, I think that this headphone would have been nearly perfect. At least for its price point, it's like really fantastic. And then the soundstage also improved just a little. I don't think it still can beat the Focal Utopia, but it has improved slightly in terms of its soundstage. Other than these three factors, there is not much other difference. I think the bass impact feels about the same. I think the treble feels about the same, but because now it's slightly more spread out and there is less sibilance, it's a bit more nice and attractive. And the mids is just a little bit clearer now. But other than that, the quality of the mids are still pretty much the same. So I do think that this guy here, the ADX3000, do benefit from amplification. So do try different amplification on it to see how it performs, and maybe you'll find something that really will push this to its best. And I do have other amplifiers, but 4.4 ones are usually portable. If not, I will have to try the A70. And my feel of the A70 has always been a bit more analytical, which I think won't benefit the already analytical like sound for this ADX3000. And that's really about it. This is the first look of the Audio-Technica ADX3000. I think it's a really nice, headphone itself. It really took me by surprise when it comes to this price point and this performance. And if I didn't buy my HE1000 unveiled just really recently, I would actually consider getting it. But, for now, I think this is about it. I'm going to think about it a little bit more if I want to commit to another headphone. But the next time, I'll see you guys again. Bye-bye.